invisible to the human eye. Insects, thirsty for blood. Microscopic amoeba. They might look harmless, but these are some of nature's deadliest creatures. They can hijack our bodies, disable our immune systems. They are parasites. But to those infected, they are the monsters inside me. Parasites are organisms that live in or on other creatures, called hosts. They are one of the most successful forms of life on Earth. Almost every organism on the planet has a parasite that is evolved to live in or on it.
A parasite's success depends on its ability to feed and reproduce inside a host without being destroyed. Most cunning parasites are able to live inside a host without even being detected. And it's often only after they die that a host realizes they even had an infection, and by then it can be too late.
2002. 25-year-old Alana Tillum is a college graduate living in Santa Barbara, California.
I moved to Santa Barbara for college, and I decided to stay because it's such a beautiful place. So I'm a busy girl. I teach dance 8 times a week, and go to the gym and make sure I take care of my health.
Alana is constantly on the go, but something is about to stop her in her tracks. One Sunday in April, her mother Lenore drives in from San Francisco for a lunch date.
We usually try a brand new restaurant every time I come in. We had lunch together as we normally would, and then I proceeded to drive home to San Francisco Bay Area.
But when Alana gets back to her house, she begins to feel cramps in her abdomen.
It's not the right time of the month for my period, so I'm just trying to figure out what's happening to my body.
As the afternoon wears on, the cramping becomes worse.
It feels like someone's absolutely just crushing my insides. I started to feel nauseous. I'd throw up, I'd get sick. After I threw up, I was hoping I would feel better, but instead what happened was the cramps came on more and more severely.
Over the next 4 hours, the pain just gets worse. Finally, Alana calls her parents. Initially, Alana's mother thinks she might have the answer.
At first I thought it was food poisoning, but we ate the same thing at lunch, so it couldn't be that.
As they are talking, Alana's symptoms suddenly intensify.
It was becoming increasingly more difficult for her to speak to me on the phone. I am very, very concerned. What could it possibly be?
But Alana's parents feel powerless to help their daughter.
Since I was 300 miles away, I asked her to call a friend to come over to the house to be with her.
Alana calls her friend Corley. When Corley arrives, she finds Alana crumpled on the bathroom floor. She knows she must get Alana to the hospital immediately.
As we're racing to the hospital, she's really weak, and she's not speaking at all. She's actually moaning a bit, and she was just very scared. She didn't know what was going on, and neither did I.
By the time the two friends pull up to the local hospital, Alana's condition is critical.
I check her into the emergency room, and they took her immediately.
Doctors put her on an IV drip, but what's causing the illness is still a mystery.
I have blood work, I have a pap smear, I have an ultrasound and an x-ray, and still no answers. And I'm not feeling any better.
The final test is a CT scan. 30 minutes later, the doctors have the results.
He tells me that they've discovered a mass in my stomach, and it's causing a blockage, and the blockage is what's making me so sick. The doctor then tells me that they have to move me to another hospital, and they tell me they have to operate and remove this mass.
If the mass isn't taken out, Alana could die.
I'm really beginning to get scared and wondering, am I going to die? What's going to happen to me?
Alana is rushed to nearby Cottage Hospital. Dr. John Petrini is the gastroenterologist assigned to her case.
Alana comes in with evidence of a mass that we could see on a CT scan, a bowel obstruction.
For Dr. Petrini, this means one thing.
It's often associated with cancers or tumors.
Before he can confirm the diagnosis, he must take a closer look.
So the next step would be surgery. They want to have the surgeon find out what the nature of this mass is.
As the doctors prepare to operate, Alana's parents, Steve and Lenore, race down from San Francisco to be with their daughter. They arrive just as Alana is being taken into the OR.
I just will never forget my parents as I was getting wheeled into the anesthesia area and just them kneeling down at my bedside and crying. I have that feeling of like, wow, what if I never see them again?
Alana was very upset and very frightened, and just remembered also her father's cancer treatment.
My father is a cancer survivor, and, you know, he just kneels down, and my mom's right at his side and says, grabs my hand and says, you know, honey, you're gonna be okay.
I don't want this for my daughter. I want to take her place. I want to take it over. I want to say, no, you can give me the treatment. I have the cancer.
Once she was wheeled in and the two of us were alone, we both cried. You know, we were worried we might lose our daughter.
In the OR, the surgeon makes an 8-inch incision in Alana's abdomen.
When the surgeon opened Alana's abdomen, they found a mass that was adjacent to the small intestine, the colon, just where the colon starts.
The sight of the mass seems to confirm the doctor's suspicions.
The fear is that this may be a cancer, and it's important to get the mass out in its entirety, as well as the surrounding tissues, and that's what Alana had done.
But they can't be sure it's cancer until the tissue is analyzed.
But once the surgery was completed, the tissue was sent to our pathology department so that they